No. Or at least, I don't think so. I have seen many farts in my time, as I'm sure you have too. It's a part of life, right? But the most common place you are to find a fart, other than a Glastonbury Festival public portaloo, is through bloody kids' movies. And I've seen a lot of them. And you know, as a 27-year-old now, I don't get behind them nowadays. I am an avid fart hater. Even in real life, when I'm surrounded by a bunch of people giggling because Harry over there has a boldly let one rip, I don't enjoy it. I'm just not a fan of toilet humour. That's a personal preference of mine. So when I'm admittedly watching a movie that's sometimes beneath my demographic identity, I find myself rolling my eyes pretty consistently when a movie goes on a tangent to the lowest common denominator to entertain a toddler on the side. But just because I'm not a fan of your average fart joke, doesn't mean that opinion is shared by the masses. And just because I would feel relieved from experiencing another flatulent tune, doesn't mean the fart joke is even close to coming to a close. This type of joke is probably the type to linger longer in the air than any other form of humour out of human existence. I think it could even brave beyond the elusive dick joke as well. It just has a broader demographic, doesn't it? And so I'm gonna swallow my pride and talk about fart jokes for... well, you can see how long it'll be. I'm literally prioritizing a deep dive on derriere deliverance over unpacking my IRL home. I'm sure I'll get around to it eventually. And so the hunt begins to find out what's out there in the world of farts, to perhaps find the golden sparkle against the brown grain, to find a fart joke that is more than just good, but the best out of all of the options. This is my first quest to find the best fart joke out there, keeping it classy. And so I went out to find the smartest fart joke there is, and then came straight back home, because it'll be found through research on my computer, of course. What do you think this video is, anyway? Did you know the earliest fart joke was started in 1900 BC? Now that's a long fart. Okay, alrighty then. I guess we should scratch that one out of the book and never perform it again. I see, I can read the room, yeah. Okay, so let's look at the more recent croppings of fart jokes, the kind of stuff we're dealing with almost 4,000 years later. What has this last decade given us in ways of keeping the rotten fresh? Well, here's the Sonic movie. Admittedly, a pretty great movie all around, other than being a little safe, but for the farts...
oh, come on. What did you eat?
I think it's called a chili dog?
It's just kinda shoved in there. There is no greater context here. Sonic just randomly lets one rip now he's settled in his gown. You could argue it's to boost a character trait since he does get to mention chili dogs, but kind of a crappy demonstration. It really wasn't needed, was it? Not exactly breaking new ground. How's about Sing?
Let me see now.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Oh, what is wrong?
Classy. Running closer to a character trait, I guess, it's the nervous fart type of gag. Once is an eye roll, twice is pushing it, but after that...
oh, I gotcha. Oh, whoopsie. Oh.
Okay.
This is just excessive. But hey, at least the movie's demographic is a little lower to accommodate for the low brow. Minions 2 is somewhat seen as a mature step up from Illumination's prior immaturities. I think we all pretty much were greatly surprised there, so moving over to one that's not as bad as it could have been, let's see Minions 2, with a spin on the fart in the form of a... oh, a stink bomb! Bringing us into the territory of just green gas, but I don't mind this one too much. It's all in character, it's a hint of creativity, and it's to contribute to the action by emptying a room. Though, does it even really count? Naturally, I would like the one that's the most off-field from the fart. You've then got the likes of Disney and Frozen, who would rather just imply it briefly with words more than anything else.
Don't know if I'm elated or gassy, but I'm somewhere in that zone.
Not that I would call that Disney's shining lyric. So you're telling me Anna can't tell the difference between a fart and happiness? Like, do they naturally give her a sense of elation? Are those images on Google actually true? And even in the super impressive successes like The Bad Guys, of course has a farting moment snuck into the middle of it. Kind of another eye roll moment, to be honest. Even in some of the best.
I fart when I'm nervous.
Sorry.
I mean, it's not as bad as Sonic's random integration, at least it incorporates some other elements. Look, it's the nervous farting like in Sing, and also with another category plugged in, the hotbox fart. And a whole lot of green gas too. To me though, it's another moment to stop staring at the screen and look into the fourth wall camera kind of moment again. Even the diamonds can have rough spots. But it could always be worse. The shining spotlight moment of recent fart jokes, of course, have come from the barrel-scraping bottoms of that one era of DreamWorks with Trolls and Boss Baby. You know what I'm about to show you. Each having bare butts, because even just that imagery alone can be funny and unexpected, but then with Trolls, they dive right into it with...
Something's missing.
That's it!
glitter. That, admittedly, is quite new, but certainly not classy by any means. In fact, it seems closer to literally defecating on cinema than any other example I'll be showing this video. But then you get Boss Baby. Don't do that. Why is there canonically baby powder shoved way up inside that baby? But the thing is, when it comes to just reviewing content by most recent, you have to deal with a lot of crap. There's no highlights in a recents reel. No one cares what song released on September 4th, 1996. We just recognize the big hits from 1996. I have no idea what song that would be while I'm recording this. Play us a piece? Alright, that's enough. Anyway, fart jokes can be a lot more than just this generic schmuck. They can come in all sorts of forms. After all, farts themselves can come in all sorts of presentations beyond the surface level approach. Take, for example, the fire starter. Someone somewhere along the road came up with the idea of gas being equivalent to gasoline, I guess, and sparked a light under the genre with this design. Jumping right into cartoon logic, it's when a fart is more than a fart. It's a weapon, too. This kind of twist on the standard fart mechanic, I'll admit, has a hint of creative flair to it. Until it is done a second time. Or a third. Now, in some examples, the moment is clearly on brand and acts more as an extension of a character trait. Lloyd, I imagine, would be very thrilled by toilet humor. But when you've seen one, you've seen them all. At least it's not gross. Which next brings us to the gurgle. Again, another turn on aspects of flatulent mechanics. This one elaborates more on the pre-production in a way that genuinely makes my stomach turn sometimes. Digging so deep into toilet humor, we are literally hearing our subject's bowel movements. To me, it's flying a little too closely to the guts that just make everything seem uncomfortable. On the lighter side, you have the likes of the live-action Scooby-Doo movie. And on the other, you have Robot Chicken. Is there something to be said by the length of a moment? Does the entertainment factor of a fart scene improve like a bell curve before getting dull again or something? Because both of these examples go on a while. But when you do that, you then lean more into falling into the pitfall that is the stock sound effect. You know what this sounds like. It's an even less impressive version of the most basic and standard fart. It's just adding in a cheeky little sound effect and calling it a day. Now this is what comes to mind when I think of a fart joke.
2 words, sir. Personal hygiene.
Sometimes, there isn't even a movement to even acknowledge that the sound is in there, if it's just a standalone sound effect plugging in an edit. Or if there is, it's just so lazily put together. I'll call it out, this clip always gets a mention on highlight reels.
Cajun point.
Who there called my name?
Yeah, I called you if your name is...
Sure, I guess there's something there that the Nan mistakes it for their name, but the rest... Yeah, way to clog up the sense that we're supposed to be laughing by just having all the actors laughing in your place. I feel like an audience member watching canned laughter here. And boy, does this type of fart just take me immediately out of the moment if I can recognize the exact intonation of a toot. That's vegan fart voice 003! Of course, that is the absolute bottom of the pile kind of fart jokes. The basic, the stock sound effect. But with 4,000 years to input ideas, and the last 100 being actually recorded, here's some others we've seen variations of. The silent but deadly. Not all too common. It's brave to make a fart joke without an audible fart, right? Is that what we're calling it? Brave? Well, it's here in Shaun of the Dead.
I'm sorry, Sean.
And you know what? I'll give this one props. This is full-on character development, or at least a trait. It knows it's gross, and it's attached to the immaturity of one of our main characters. I have very little negatively to say about Shaun of the Dead, other than that it still somehow scared me when I was younger. And even their fart jokes have meaning and intention? Though it's not really funny that much, is it? Maybe a smirk gets out of you at most. Fun fact, I was actually accidentally in the same room as Edgar Wright over this summer. Yeah, we were both watching the same show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which was just very strange. Didn't recognize him for a long time, and I also didn't speak to him because I didn't have much to say. And then I realized he was the guy behind one version of the cancelled Me and My Shadow production. I can't believe I missed my shot on that completely. I fumbled the bag! The Sorry. This one's much like the stock sound effect, but with a single line added in to support it.
Where's my dad? Sorry. What we got here?
It's a fart that's almost hidden under the rug, as if to say even the movie doesn't want to linger on it, which is really saying something considering the rest of the movie is the bloody Cat in the Hat. Other times you'll get the lactose intolerant.
I'm garlic intolerant.
This is just the Sorry with a little mixing of the stock sound effect. It's not really a character trait, is it? It's just a cheap joke to fill the pause in actual writing ability or intention. The insult. I feel pretty insulted every time I'm subjected to someone's abdomen abdications, but some characters take the punchline as a way to directly insult someone else.
Place where women rule.
Yeah, you know what I have to say about that?
This is never funny. It's more like padding to pass the time before the real entertainment starts.
I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster.
I stand corrected. The concept can be funny. It's all in the execution. Or maybe you just need an over-the-top accent to pull it off. The hotbox. Now, we've mentioned the hotbox briefly before during the bad guys, but there are other examples to show off, since sometimes it's not about the act itself, but the aftermath and suffering of those in proximity. Take, in this case, Toy Story 2.
Thus and last forever. Good heavens. Was that me?
Literally in the case, where the victim was themselves. Who'd have thought even Pixar would be the sort to do a fart joke? But again, I don't despise this one. Yes, it was just shoved in there, and they faintly try to bolster it up with...
I guess that's why they call me Stinky Pete.
But it doesn't disrupt the movie, for this is entirely set in the blooper reel. It takes a more realistic approach to when a fart would actually happen. And I think it's the case that leads into one of the better forms of the fart joke to actually be funny, the accident. Everything in film is intentional. For it to be viewed by us judgmental audiences, it has to be performed, accepted, processed, edited, and then rendered out to us. So by that very nature, there's not much room for a natural fart. Joke. And yet, sometimes, the most funny scenarios for blips like this are in the unexpected. And what's more unexpected than an accident itself? When it's done by... It's clearly not an accident, or any of these animated or movie productions. But where else do we get exposed to the expulsion of excretive matter than in reality itself? Or over in the documentation of it within the internet? Now, I'm not on fart TikTok. I've heard that is a thing, and to be honest, if I was to ever find a fart joke funny, it would probably be within there. We've all, as a child, enjoyed fart jokes at some point in our lives. I mean, I, for example, did laugh at that old Cat in the Hat clip. So, the fact that anybody can demonstrate their own deliverance of such a gag in such a way, and anybody can post it out there into the interwebs means there's probably something out there that I would genuinely find funny, and there are more formats to play with. For example, the televised accident. Picture it. You've been working on yourself for months now. You integrated with a great new trainer who wants to let out their own expression of self-support out to the world. And finally, they get their big break and want to bring you along. It's an early start, but 5 a.m. start up later and you're out there on national breakfast television. All you have to do is follow your instructor, your good friend, through a kind of motion you've been through several times before. A little stretch in this direction, a mild push in that, and then disaster strikes.
Okay, let's...
This is hilarious. Am I the problem child for genuinely finding this embarrassment funny? Since in a closed room, this would be humorous, a little mistake among friends to likely not be shared about too much. But to have it broadcast live on national television, available for hundreds if not thousands to witness in a single moment, exposed on a grand scale in the most unexpected way, yes, it disrupts the story of life, but something about the real article makes a gag like this so much more entertaining. And boy, can you find plenty of those across your search against the web. There's more than just genuine accidents of embarrassment. How's about the planned deliveries with a mistimed execution? The cough cover-up. I think the first time this was a genuine misstep by the poster.
Is there something you'd like to say, Mr. Griffin?
No.
But future redos copying the same format still sometimes have that greatness factor to them, just for the unique sounds of them all. It's like the opposite of the stock sound effect for being part of a genuine ecosystem. Buttholes come in all sorts of shapes and sizes after all. But then, sometimes there's a type of stock sound effect that achieves success in the direct opposite direction. Introducing the ironic sound effect. An iconic piece of flatulent tune that stands out for intentionally standing out, and being placed perhaps where it doesn't belong for comedic effect. Sometimes it's something as simple as a mass added effect on a collection of explosions.
Is the party over?
Whilst other times it reinvents a scene so much that you can't even recognize it without.
So, you're the punk I've heard about.
What is that win meant to be anyway? You can't convince me it's not.
So, you're the punk I've heard about.
It's the fabled fart with reverb sound effect. Why does this particular stock sound work better than most? Because it is as ridiculous as it is applied. The gag is not the fact that it exists, but that it exists again. A recurring punchline in the form of a fart. It's like the Wilhelm scream, but from the other end. And of course, with the internet, that's not the only one. Now, if you're anything like me, I'm sorry. You ever heard of...
Uh-oh. Stinky poop.
But you see, yes, for but a brief moment, poo-poo do indeed be funny. For uh-oh stinky evolves into a form of post-irony the longer it drones on. Maybe even post-irony, you know? A post-meta-modern irony twang, if you will, of a meme. Transcending beyond just the sound of the raspberry farts and onto the voice and its reactions instead. Overexposing the humor of the moment into a nonsensical monologue of repetition and reaction. All the while we are forced to stare into the beast of an entirely unrelated picture. It's a monkey. It's kind of uh-oh-y in the face, and it is bearing all. But it's not the one talking. That'd be ridiculous. It's not the one farting either. And yet, here it sits, eternally becoming fused with this sound log of a boy laughing at his own sounds that he has to inform us that is funny, thus turning it to be funny again, only for one day his cousin to take the joke further.
Wow, hey, stinky! Funny boop! Boop funny!
For it's the riffing off of one joke and into another that is something the cinema screen could never achieve so effectively. And sometimes, the longevity of a joke is directly correlated to its level of success. Longer fart is apparently funnier, for how far the extreme can go. Ah yes, I guess this is a genre of fart we can next delve into, the long fart. Some people have an incredible capacity of gas within them, or they've just had surgery. You get the idea. Did he really have to move the camera closer? And sometimes that surgery allows for the expelling of gas to far exceed expectations of a regular flatulent load. It is in the subversion of the standard that this could become humorous. Despite being a fully orchestrated event, still, it comes off as genuine. Or how's about that time fart enjoyers got to witness a ghost?
Did you see it? On the left side of the doorframe, barely visible on camera, a white translucent mist of shape slowly creeps into frame.
The gag in this one being simultaneously the juggling of two gripping subjects, with both the original footage being a cataclysmic conceptual attack, as well as the narrator's directions, only for the editorial trickery of this clip to take place as the original clip unexpectedly continues to rebel against the narrator's overreaching voice despite the circumstance. And sometimes, you just have to expose how Alexa does it.
Alexa, I'd rather fart for me.
Oh, a simple and genuine demonstration, added by the nuance of hearing clearly designed stock sounds, but ones we haven't heard before.
Here's Big Fart. Oh, shit. Oh, that was a deep one.
And that was just an extract of how the internet does fart jokes. It's now time to get back to your regularly scheduled coverage.
Not searching for boog.
This is bad. In comparison to all we have just seen, maybe it's just the scripted nature of movies that makes fart jokes so tiring when you've seen enough of them. Or maybe I'm just looking in all the wrong places. Wait, you're telling me I'm wasting my time coming out here for like a 10-second shot? So let's switch over. Hey, I said 10 seconds, don't cut me off at 5. So let's switch over to Pixar again. With Finding Nemo. Did you know there was a fart joke in this movie? Thinking about it, it probably makes sense. And it actually is in the scene we saw the internet edit over from before. It's in the landmine scene, whereby all these mines go off, it's all horrible and dramatic until...
Nice.
This is pretty decent. Maybe because there wasn't actually a fart in it, just the implication of one. It's the fact that it wasn't a fart that it puts an exhale through the nostril, playing on the bubbles element of a fart. Sweet. Or how's about another spin on the not actually a fart, the hand fart, covered in robots.
Yeah, baby. Let it rip.
Until they do it for real anyway.
Get a load of this.
But again, it's pretty decent, getting you into the realm of the joke preemptively before cascading you with an execution from the most bottomly built bosom of the entire movie. And a little bit of intestinal humor in there too.
Baby, please. See it, doctor.
Actually, that's quite a nice spin. It's quite frequent to see someone pass out from the aftermath, but to wipe out a streetlight? That's impressive. But we're not quite done with Robin Williams yet, as there's always his other contribution to the fart ecosphere, I would not want to physically be in there, with probably one of the most genuine and emotional presentations of a fart joke, in Good Will Hunting.
She woke herself up. Yes.
What makes this example so special is the fact that, well, there's several facts really. On the analytical front, there is no fart, we're just hearing about a fart. Putting it in our imagination oftentimes leads to a better delivery than any attempt at the real thing. But also, it's a story told in the center of the topic of grieving. Robin's wife in this tale has passed, and yet this embarrassing tale helps to lift the mood on the topic, and in the most profound ways, even giving us an incredibly emotive perspective on life.
She's been dead 2 years, and that's the shit I remember. It's wonderful stuff, you know? Little things like that.
Who'd have thought a fart joke that could make one cry? And supposedly, this story was improvised by Robin Williams. It wasn't in the script. Meaning it could very well be a real tale he's exposing. A genuine article in the middle of a scripted masterpiece to put a tear in your eye. Well, that's enough of that. Time for some Family Guy. Family Guy and South Park both take a similar approach to farting humor at least. They each did once at least along their overblown runtime. Adding to the list, the musical fart.
an instrument?
I was entertained once, when I was like 13, but then I think the format got a little tired, ironically for going too long this time around. I guess the concept is there, and the execution is clearly quite earwiggy, but seems like a tired old thing now. So what about those that are more connected to character? We saw briefly a little stint with Shrek, and honestly, all 4 films have fart jokes in them. The bubbles of Finding Nemo return as an immediately establishing of Shrek's character in Shrek 1. Shrek 2 then brings it back practically the same, but now with Fiona as a partner. You've then got Shrek 3 adding in the babies and that scene before Firestarter bit. And then Shrek 4 goes for the mild Family Guy musical approach.
Better out than in.
Lion King's fart jokes are also intrinsically linked to their character, with Pumbaa always doing something.
I'm a sensitive soul, though I seem thick-skinned.
I think making the fart jokes here is fine. It is half of their personality. Sure, whatever. Kind of an eye roll, but I don't have the childhood nostalgia for this movie anyway. Skipped it for some reason. And then there's the answer everyone seems to tell you when talking about the best fart joke in cinema. I didn't see this movie. You didn't see this movie, and yet it is hailed as one of the greatest fart jokes of all time, according to the comments of YouTube videos. That of Blazing Saddles.
How about some more beans, Mr. Taggart? I'd say you've had enough.
This group accident, I guess you could call it. This is like the Citizen Kane of fart jokes. It is a movie for students and hipsters. It is the best of the best, according to a bunch of old fogies, probably because it did it first. But it's not the best now. Admittedly, I don't even fully understand it, but you'll see this answer everywhere, and I could not care less for it. But as we come to a close, there's a handful of genres I wanted to pull out there that either didn't get their screen time, or perhaps were already intermixed in the highlights we've shown. Think of it like some runner-ups on the format that is fart jokes. In the collection we have the skunk fart. I barely count these as fart jokes, but you know how 99% of these play out. You've also got the warning, the loose, the loud, the blame the dog, the sudden wake up, the bathroom stool, the echoed, the smell, the raspberry, the funny story, and the overdone. But against it all, I think I found one. The shining golden piece amongst the smears of comedy. The joke that I would barter to say is the greatest fart joke of the bunch. Through all trials and tribulations and whatever the hell it was I thought I was doing for this shot, we've tackled the decent, going a hint against the grain with a hint of creativity, if not for the fact that their very creativity had essentially been done prior. We had the bad, the stock sound effects with little attempt of changing the norm other than blowing wind in our direction. And we've had the weird with, well, practically anything the internet has ever done. And there's the insidious too, examples of companies doing these jokes for the cheapest of deliveries, baked into a soulless checklist of the unimaginative and the easy. But now, with too many fart jokes under our belt, we stand here with the joke I find to be the best. Can a fart joke even really be smart? A smafart joke? Well, it doesn't make me guffaw out loud, but it is this. Lion King 1.5.
Yep, after a long day of doing nothing, it's good to kick back.
The gang are enjoying themselves with a Saharan jacuzzi, I guess, when...
Think I'll turn in for the night.
It was all revealed to be a ruse. Another play on the mechanic of the bubbles. It's not about the sound, it's not about the smell. This one is the closest thing to intelligence in its delivery. And is why today I will be bestowing this as the greatest fart joke up to this point. Gone are the days of the stock, or the nervous, even the bubbles of Finding Nemo to me come off as a great runner-up, because at the end of the day, the burning question across this entire quest has been... So, are fart jokes funny? No, I still don't really think they are. Sometimes they can be good. After all, this entire video has been a highlight reel of examples and representations, and yet, that's decades worth of content compiled together, and this is about as good as it gets. But when you're in the mix of it, when you're just watching any given recent approach to the gag, it's just so much unending, regurgitating crap. It's why I typically roll my eyes at any new fart joke that falls out, because a good fart joke, let alone a great one, is rare. The vast majority of visuals we get to deal with are the stock sound effects, the green gas, or just a sound to laugh at the end of a beat. While there are diamonds in the rough in the world of flatulence, most of the time it is the easy, cheap, and unthoughtful approach that bleeds through every version we see. Does it get kids to laugh? Sure. Does Leonardo DiCaprio have a surprising adoration for the art form of the fart form? Apparently yes, but does it justify it enough to be in every example? I don't think so. If your demographic is literally 5 years and younger, then sure, but as we've seen, that's not always the case, and more often than not, it's the forgettable type of fart joke that takes its place. Even the best of the best don't have me laughing out loud, only appreciating them with an exhale at most, or a huh, if it's lucky. And that still to me just isn't that great of a joke. I've been around the block, I have smelt more than enough to have dealt this decision, and I shall conclude my journey there. The road was not that long, actually. I had a deadline to keep, and that deadline certainly was sooner than the one telling me to unpack my damn house. It's at this point I would like to thank my patrons, of which I have none. I don't have a Patreon. Thank you for watching! If it wasn't clear already, I was quite nervous doing this, but I'd like to do this more. It was very much a fun project to work on. Welcome to my style of comedy. It's a weird one. Strap in. In case it wasn't clear, I was quite nervous doing this, so it's definitely a new start for me. Also, it is heatwave weather in the middle of Britain right now, so I'm not just this gross and sweaty looking always. I just have some slightly bad lighting and just genetically very active pores. I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to get used to it. I really enjoyed making this video, so I'm gonna make more. Of course, opinions are just opinions, and apparently I'm keeping it classy for my very first proper video essay, so we'll look forward to more. But if you'd want to assist on this new video essay series, give us some suggestions for what kind of out-of-field prompts and stuff you'd like to see. Architecture in Pixar movies, the Tom Holland protagonist, are safe movies even bad? Dick jokes, I don't know, don't even get me started on the bloody floss dance that plagued every single movie for 7 years!